Hello folks and welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. I'll be introducing our guest very shortly. Enjoy the music. Today's guest is a Fijian based in Calgary, Canada, a marketing professional and the founder of Street Gentleman, an image consultancy where he helps ambitious men improve their style so they can feel more confident and attractive. I reached out to him to talk about starting a business, about life, fashion trends, and things that go beyond style, substance, and even spirituality. In the interesting time the world is going through right now, he's a guy who has dealt with his own personal grief, but continues to learn and grow from it, and help others to do the same. So I had a fascinating and rewarding time speaking to this guy, our guest today, the street gentleman himself, Sunjeev Prasad.
Pulavinaka.
Ow, ow!
All right, Sunjeev, the street gentleman. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for joining us. You look great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, of course. I'm stoked to be here too. And I think you gotta practice what you preach, right? You gotta, if I'm telling men how to dress well, you have to do the same myself.
Absolutely. So that brings me to my first question. You know, in this age of social distancing, is it important to look good still, or can we take a break?
I'll be honest. I've definitely been slacking, definitely embracing more of the streetwear athleisure trends, and then going for more of the comfy approach to style, which I feel is like an accurate reflection of my personality as well. But I think from an internal mindset sort of perspective, to maintain that sense of style is good for a person's morale, their productivity, and just maintaining that sense of structure as well too. It's such a free flowing, for people that are especially working from home, like having that lack of structure, having something like your morning routine, like getting up, showering, getting dressed, going to your grooming and all that, can maintain some of that, the morale and sanity too in the long run.
Absolutely. Do you have a routine right now during quarantine, or whatever they call it in Calgary, Canada?
Yes, quarantine or lockdown. Well, not quite lockdown actually, because we still have a bit more freedom. But it's still basically the same as what I was doing, before all of this came up. And so essentially, it's waking up. I am sleeping a bit later, but not too late. So still waking up early, going through my morning routine, meditating, journaling, listening to podcasts, whatever it is, and then usually I work out as well. I picked up some kettlebells. I've been doing that, and then you're diving into the workday from there.
Awesome. And then with dressing for the day as part of that routine, do you plan in advance?
A little bit, not too structured. I found just over the years having some sort of a plan ahead of time for the next day always helps. Like it prevents you from indecision in the morning and scrambling and just kind of throwing on the same old stuff every single day. So I usually have an idea of how I want to feel more than anything, and then base my outfit around that.
Got it. Awesome. I just want to dive a little bit deeper now. In the intro, I talk about your mission to help ambitious men improve their style so they can feel more confident and attractive. And sounds like you practice what you preach. I want to dive a little bit deeper into what inspired that mission in the first place.
Oh, wow. So it's definitely to my own journey. It's sort of the short and sweet of it. But just going through life, experiencing, like just feeling overlooked. I don't know if worthless is the right word, but definitely not feeling a great sense of self-worth, low self-esteem, low confidence, depression, all those things, right? They go along with just having those insecurities and not feeling great about yourself and not the way you're portraying yourself. So having been through that experience and knowing what it's like to be on that side of things and basically going through like a 10-year 15-year transformation to get myself to this point, where I feel extremely comfortable in my own skin, willing to stand out from the crowd and be more of an individual, knowing what it was like, how painful it was to be on the other end of the spectrum, and then being able to help other men break out of that is it's a really empowering thing, just because it's just challenging. And when you're stuck in those, in that headspace where you don't feel great about yourself, or you have low self-confidence, it's tough to really accomplish what you want to accomplish. And a lot of it is more mentally than it is about, what the latest trends are, and what a nice outfit is, and that kind of thing. A lot of it is the psychology behind it.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that vulnerability and how the journey started. It is tough, and I'm grateful that you can express it clearly in those terms. It's been a journey, 10, 15 years, like you said. What would you say to those at that start of that spectrum, like when it's the toughest, when you can't see what the end goal is? How do you get out of a rut? Like, what are the first few steps that you would tell someone to take?
So the first thing I would say that there's always hope. Even if it doesn't seem like it, there's always a chance. You can always change your situation, but start small, right? Obviously, like, you're gonna have your end goal in mind, and you want to backwards engineer from that point to bring it all together. But I think starting small with 1, 2 things, and just gradually stepping out of your comfort zone is going to encourage you to take those bigger risks that can really get you out of your comfort zone. So just start gradually, and eventually you build up enough momentum to take those bigger leaps and notice a bigger difference, really.
Got it. Yeah, I think I personally find that consistency helps. Like, you don't always have to shoot for the moon. So, for example, running or getting the body moving for me is key in any situation. Like, throughout my life, I found that if I'm consistently moving, even if it's 10 to 20, 30 minutes a day, it's the small steps that really build up. So that's what I'm hearing, something similar coming from you, especially at those times when you don't think there's much hope. Just keep moving and moving. Yeah,
you just find a way. And sometimes you're going to feel not great. You're going to feel like not doing anything at all. Especially like you mentioned with fitness too, right? Like, you played a lot of soccer growing up, so you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But anything really where you want to accomplish certain goals, like, there's going to be challenges and setbacks, and times you just want to quit, go back to your old ways. But that's when you got to dig really deep and remember why you're doing it in the first place, and what the end result is, and just understand that those challenges will come up from time to time.
Absolutely, and it's not easy. Some of it's really facing some tough truths about yourself. Like you said, you didn't like the person you were seeing in the mirror at that point, and it's getting comfortable with those truths. I've been listening to a lot of sort of Navy SEAL commentators or authors. David Goggins is one, Jocko Willink. Those guys talk a lot about taking ownership, and one interesting thing they mention is motivation, and how motivation isn't quite real always. Some days you'll be motivated, some days you won't be. It's just like a little bit of kindling, but you need more than that. You need to be able to go for a little run or go to the gym when you don't feel motivated. And so, that's something that sounds like it's something you've experienced or you've lived through. Is that something that you talk about with your clients?
A little bit, for sure. I think more so on the side of pushing their comfort zones and getting them out of their old ways. I do think that's a great point, though. Like, just it seems like motivation is a finite resource, right? It can come and go, and so it's not always there. There's going to be tough times where you just want to quit, and you just have to be resilient, really.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, this is it's a good conversation I'm having with you because what you do. You advise men to improve their style so they can feel more confident and attractive. But so far, we've talked a lot about mindset and a lot of psychological things, and how these things are all intertwined. There's always that saying, style versus substance, or substance over style. Whatever it is, like, how do you think those two things are related? What's the word on the street?
I would say they definitely go hand in hand. You need both. One, you can't have one without the other. Maybe if you go too far to one end of the spectrum, you're missing out on the opportunities that the other end of the spectrum has to offer. But I'd say early on, because a substance takes time to develop. Right. So if you're really looking to build some momentum, increase your self-esteem, boost your self-confidence, an easy way to develop that is really, you can change up your style within a couple of days, right? Understand what you want to accomplish and then go out there and then bring it all together. So I'd say that's a great starting point. I would not say that that's the end all be all, but it is an element of getting your self-confidence and your morale to a place where you can feel really comfortable with it, and you're just feeling more stable. But the substance side of it too is so much more important too, where like you don't want to get caught up in expensive labels and all these flashy brands and jumping from one trend to another, because that really is very much externally driven, whereas the substance is more of an internal stuff, the deeper, more meaningful things that really reflect who you are and can make you more of a compelling person at the end of the day. Because once you get past the surface level, if you don't have that substance to back it up, it's can be an empty shell.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for that articulation. That's awesome. I guess zooming out a little bit more, then a lot of businesses are created by people providing solutions to their own problems and issues, and that's when you get a lot of very meaningful businesses coming through, like such as yours. I wanted to ask you, what kind of things have you learned starting a business in this industry?
Oh my God, it's extremely challenging. Yeah. It can be very challenging, unless you're well experienced and have a lot of connections right off the bat. But I think starting your own venture is probably the best way to learn about yourself on a deeper, more internal level, because there's so many doubts and insecurities and all that. Like your limiting beliefs are so in your face when you're launching something of your own, and just and then to get to where you want to be, to get to that next level, whatever it is, like you need to address those. You got to find a way around them. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in the exact same place. So I'd say that's been the most meaningful takeaway from all of this. I think the mechanics of business are also very important, but to go beyond that is really you're going toe to toe with yourself every single moment of every single day, and that is extremely challenging, but it's also very rewarding at the same time.
Got it. Yeah, totally. It's no hiding from the man in the mirror.
No, not at all.
Right, that's awesome. Give us an example of one of the biggest challenges you faced in the business context.
Oh man, wow. I would say just when things kind of get stagnant, you really start to question yourself. For me at least, where I question myself, like, is this really it? Like, is this really, am I cut out for this? And because you've seen so many other people that are doing something similar and achieving, pretty good results, right? And so having those moments where you're not really seeing the fruition of your labor coming to life, like that's extremely, it really makes you question yourself. And I think that's probably been the biggest, where I have those moments where you kind of just sit there and like, oh man, am I really cut out for this? And then that's where perseverance and resilience comes through too, because the only way to fail is to quit. There's always an answer, but if you quit, you kind of leave it at that and it's over.
Got it. Yeah. And then, you get the small wins, you sort of identify what those are. Those keep you going. And it sounds like where you are in Calgary, you have a good support system. There's a good entrepreneurial community. Tell me a little bit more about your peers and what kind of people you surround yourself with.
Oh man, I'm very lucky in that sense. A lot of my friends are in the entrepreneurial space. Like some of my best friends are basically like brothers. So that's been amazing to be able to lean on each other for, and not just for the ABCs of business and learning how to grow and expand and just improve our operations, but also just for that moral support too, being able to talk to each other and discuss our journeys really with one another, and having that relatable person to just to connect with. I got a really good chat with one of my buddies yesterday, Carlo. I haven't talked to him in a while, and it was really nice just to connect with him and just see what he's been doing with his fitness business and that kind of thing, and just seeing his whole journey over the last few years, and then sharing my journey too, and the ups and downs with him, and so stuff like that. And then the community here as well too, overall within the city is just very tightly knit. There's a lot of entrepreneurial minded people, so whether it be at events, networking events, speaking engagements, that kind of thing, there's a lot of people. Even if you haven't met them yet, if you go up and you just strike up a conversation, they're very open to it. It's a good sized city with just over 1 million people, but it has a small town mentality where people are very neighborly and open and approachable and willing to open up and lend a hand. So even if they're very successful and well known and reputable throughout the city, they still have that open heart and just kind nature about them, that they're willing to bend over backwards to make your journey a successful one.
That's awesome. I mean, that seems to resonate a lot with Canadians in general, some of the most friendly people in the whole world. Good to hear that spirit is still alive. I wanted to test your Canadian resolve a little bit and give you a chance to vent, give you a chance to, speak your mind maybe on this question. So you see a lot of people, a lot of guys wearing all sorts of things, have all sorts of issues. What's the biggest fashion faux pas that you see? What grinds your gears?
That's a really good question.
We don't have to say names.
About this, but I'd say that maybe we'll get too specific. I'd say when people hold on to trends that are dying or dead, like just trends like embroidered jeans and like those Ed Hardy t-shirts and that kind of stuff, you'll still see people once in a while rocking it, and it just needs to die. Like, it needs to go away. Like, it's had its run and it was good for reason. Yeah. But to think that it still is still cool is questionable.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Stuff like that is.
I got you. I just thought I'd throw it out there just to see what kind of stuff comes up. I want to shift gears a little bit, and as you know, this podcast called Pod Bless Fiji, a new project that I'm trying to explore identity and hear personal stories from Fijians around the world, and we've got someone from Calgary today, which is amazing. And I know you were born in Calgary and you've grown up there, but does being Fijian come into conversations?
For sure, occasionally. It really depends on the communities you're hanging out in, but it does. People are always curious because we do have a different, demeanor, and even our appearance is slightly different than people from India, and not exactly like Samoans or Hawaiians or Filipinos or anything like that, right? We kind of have our own distinct look and cultural norms and all these different things that make the island so unique and the people from there so unique. So I think people pick up on that and they're curious and they ask, especially Native Canadians that are born and raised and have more European backgrounds are not typically exposed to a lot of Fijians, right? And so we get a chance to explain, and people know the island, right? It's like one of the most exotic resort places in the world, right? Some beautiful, most beautiful beaches you'll ever see. So, it's very well known in that regard. But to actually meet someone from the island itself is pretty rare here in certain parts of Calgary.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, it's such an interesting space that you hold in that environment. So it's cool. It's a cool thing. It's good to hear. I think it contributes to the vibrancy of the place. That's what I thought anyway, but hearing it from you, it's good to hear. It's good to hear. And just flipping that the other way, how do you feel when you go back to Fiji?
Oh, I'd say honestly, it's mixed feelings. Mixed feelings. I do love, the beauty of it. Going back to our roots and just seeing, how our family's upbringing, all of that, and going to the real side of it too, right? Getting away from the resorts and all of that, but getting into actual villages, and experiencing that whole side of it is so impactful, right? And just to see what it's all like, and just see how our parents grew up and all that, I think it's so powerful. I think the mixed side of it comes from, like, I do wish it was economically stronger. Like, they have been struggling for quite a while, and that's unfortunate and sad to see, because there's so much potential there that they could really tap into. But to see more of that stability would be beautiful, and I think it would make it much more appealing to visit and to attract even more tourists and all sorts of other economical opportunities that the citizens could really benefit from. Yeah,
I know what you mean. It's a little bit of a tricky thing because Fiji's had such an interesting past. It's got a bit of baggage in that respect. It seems like it's progressing once more, but I think that resonates with a lot of feelings that the diaspora from Fiji have when they talk about Fiji. They do have mixed feelings about it. At the same time, it's good to connect with others from Fiji when you're outside of Fiji. It's a common feeling that people have. I wish for better. I wish for more.
Absolutely. It's just, yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you is, in terms of mentorship, it's something that I found is tricky to find given our background. But have you had any mentors growing up?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I don't know if maybe not so much in the traditional sense of what a mentor would be, which I think would be really cool to really have someone like that. But I definitely had a lot of friends over the years I'm still very much in touch with and talk to on a regular basis that helped me in different regards, whether it be professionally or business-wise. A few people that I can lean on in that sense, which is a blessing. And then also people I can have deep, meaningful spiritual conversations with too, and have so much more experience and a wealth of knowledge that I can tap into and learn more about that side of things too, because that's a really important part of life to me as well. It's exploring those other layers that we don't normally get exposed to.
Got it. And I think you said something really, again, very articulately. You expressed that you have different people who offer different things, you get different things from, and I'm sure it goes the other way as well. People see you as a mentor or a peer to learn from. It's something that I've struggled with previously. It's finding the right mentors or identifying what it is that's missing sometimes. You touched a little bit on, you have some spiritual mentors, spiritual connections that you learn from. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, obviously with our moms being into pranic healing and meditation and all that, like that's a huge part of life, right? That I've been very curious about for quite a while, and so even talking to them about that kind of thing, and some of my best friends are also very spiritual and explore a lot of their own teachings too. So that's really cool. Like I had a conversation as well with one of my best friends yesterday. Just about so many different layers, whether it be like relationships, spiritual, all of it, right? Like it all ties together. So, and then also another close friend who I stay in touch with on a regular basis. I talk to him like once or twice a week, where we just kind of dive into more of that deeper stuff. Sometimes it's about it's just about everything, right? Meditation and all these different aspects of it, and not accepting things just on the surface level, but seeing what's more.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously not diving down any rabbit holes and getting too caught up in all of it, but just I find it helps with just getting a deeper understanding of life and meaning of life, that kind of thing.
Got you. Having a business like Street Gentleman, how do you keep your distance, or how do you manage how close you get with your clients in terms of when do you start talking to them about like spirituality? How do you maintain that distance?
Oh, it really depends on the person. Like it's really interesting, and I never would have guessed. Like when I started image consulting a few years ago, people open up like immediately, tell me about their marriages, their professional life, and just all sorts of things. They get very open and honest, and in almost like a therapeutic way, which is really interesting. So it's cool. I feel like I've done a really good job of creating a comfortable space for them to be able to do so and just share openly like that. Obviously, I would never reveal any of that publicly, but just being able to have that space. And then so to get down to the spirituality side of things, you really have to read the person, right? Just having that, I believe that'd be emotional intelligence, right? Just being able to read the room and understand where you can really take that conversation. And some people are very open and curious and receptive to that, and other people are just not that interested, and that's fine too.
Yeah, that's key, having that emotional intelligence and reading what they're after, because I feel like you're very clear about what kind of product or services you offer, but once you get into that client relationship, it's a lot more than just that product. It sounds like you have to really read what's going on. What have you refined over the years in that dynamic, that client relationship? Because what the product or service that you offer is very personal in a lot of ways. So how have you refined your process and your product? And you might still be doing that.
Oh, definitely. I think it's an ongoing process. We're always learning and always developing and evolving. But I think it's just gotten a lot deeper than what it used to be. Like when I initially started out, it was very just entry level, surface level type of stuff. Just kind of help them change their style, do a bit of personal shopping and that kind of thing. And just it was quick, right? You knock it out in a couple of days, and that was it. But now it's got much more deeper, much more. Like the questionnaires and stuff I send them when we start out is I ask a lot of meaningful questions, right? I'm trying to pry a lot of information out of them just so I can make it the best possible experience for them. It's not like a cookie cutter thing where it's one size fits all, no pun intended. But it's definitely I feel like it just keeps going deeper and deeper, more I feel like into this, and by no means am I a psychologist or therapist or even anywhere near being qualified to be in any one of those professions, but it's therapeutic in a way, and it's gotten more deeper into the psychology side of it. I'm very comfortable with the fashion side of it, but the mental aspect of it is that's where I think most of the refinement has come from over the last couple of years.
Awesome. What's fascinating to me, I guess, with the type of work you do is that you really have to put yourself out there. It's you're the face of it. You the one that gets close to the clients. What's fascinating to me is because you said that this was an issue for you, self-esteem, putting yourself out there. And that means like making videos, making blog posts, taking photos of yourself and posting them. And that's a big hurdle that a lot of people face in putting yourself out there and being open to criticism. And it's usually a story in your head that you tell yourself prevents you from creating something or producing something. Tell me a little bit more about like what those voices are inside your head when someone starts a venture like yours where you have to put yourself out there. You are the brand.
Yeah, so especially when you're the face of it, right? It's definitely, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind, the first thing is it comes down to worrying too much about what other people think. That's what it really is giving the opinions of others too much weight when your own opinion is drowning, right? That's in the back, and it's not being given the respect that it deserves, your own opinion, right? You have to give yourself some credit. and understand too that it's also not going to be perfect right off the bat. Like my first few social media posts, my first few blog posts, first videos. My videos are still needing a lot of improvement, but they're getting better. And all of it, right? I think that's the best way to approach it. Is a lot of people get stuck up in one of two things. It's either, or even both, is worrying too much about what other people think about them, and that's what really holds them back. They're afraid of the criticism, or being like, okay, like why is this person doing this? Like, what gives them the credibility to do so? And then also that perfection aspect of it as well, where they have a certain vision in mind. It's got to look this way, it's got to feel this way, it's got to sound this way. And when they're not able to accomplish that right off the bat, like a lot of people will hold back, and they'll wait for that perfection moment where it's like A+. They have to put it out, but that's really the only way to get to A+ is start at like a C or a D, and just figure it out. You can't wait for all the lights to turn green before you start driving, right? You just get the ball rolling, and it's gonna be messy. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna look great. You're gonna question yourself a lot, but eventually, like it keeps getting better. Like the more practice, the more repetitions you get in, the more frequently you're doing things, the more frequently you're publishing or writing blog posts, shooting videos, all of that. You putting yourself out there, like it does get better, but it's not going to be perfect right off the bat.
Absolutely. Is it still a constant battle with yourself, that aspect of it, putting yourself out there, or have you become a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah, I did definitely feel like I've conquered that demon. I think every time you're trying to get to the next level, there's going to be another voice that comes to your mind, so it still shows up from time to time. Lately I've been producing more video content. So that's been, and I'm seeing what some of the bigger names in the industry are doing, and they're producing some high quality videos getting millions of views. So I think, I do question like, oh man, like is the quality really there? Like, am I really, but the only way to really conquer that is just to keep moving, and eventually you'll figure it out. And that's the only way to do it, right? Because you can just sit and speculate all day and read all the books and watch all the videos and blog posts and all that kind of stuff, and educate yourself, for a million years. But if you're not actually executing on that knowledge, it's kind of meaningless.
Absolutely, yeah. Right on. What, any thoughts on TikTok? Because I have no idea.
I feel like I feel like you'd be really good on TikTok. I think you did a really good job.
Thank you.
I've dabbled for sure. Like it's definitely like the the hot platform of the moment, and that's where everyone's sort of drifting towards, especially with being quarantined and all that. They have so much more time and some sort of creative outlet to express themselves and market themselves. So it's cool. It's interesting. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's slowly taking over, and it's going to be. It already is the next big one. So it's cool. It's all video driven too, right? So if you're comfortable, being in front of the camera, dancing, or really thinking outside of the box, it's a great outlet for that.
Got it. How is it different from Instagram stories or Facebook stories? Also, it's one and the same thing, same company, but
I think it's more. I think you have a lot more like creative freedom within it, right? With all the filters and all the different types of things you can add, and the music, right? You can add your own soundtracks and like different like voiceovers and that kind of thing. So it does seem like it's more just more of a creative outlet compared to Instagram stories and Facebook, and it's also, I think right now the organic reach is extremely high, right? Which a lot of like every single social media platform starts out that way, right? They give you some ridiculous organic reach, and then once it gets to a certain point, they flip it and cut it down, and that's you have to start paying for boosting your content. But this is the window for TikTok right now, and that's why I think a lot of people are hopping on it right now. Is the organic reach is so high, and a lot of people can get millions of views, thousands of followers within a couple of days, kind of thing.
Got it. Something that's come to mind because I've been listening a lot to Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk. The more people that create, the better, I think. That's what I think. I would love if someone else started like a podcast or a blog. I think there's like so many like stories out there. I think more people that are enabled, especially somewhere like Fiji. I would love to see more content come out of there. Something like TikTok, I think it sounds like it's very accessible.
Yeah, oh yeah. I feel like Fiji could use a lot more, especially with like our generation and the younger ones too, right? Coming up, like it'd be a great outlet for them. And there's just so much scenery out there, and so many things. All you really need is a smartphone and a Wi-Fi connection. You can just produce it at home. It's very, like you said, approachable, and a lot of people can start publishing content on there.
Mm-hmm, totally. And I think there's a certain sense of humor in Fiji. It's like that laid back island style humor. Yeah, that's very, very enjoyable. And I think TikTok actually would be an awesome platform for people from Fiji. Do you have any people that you follow, resources that help you with upskilling, leveling up?
Oh, for sure. I think in the same sort of vein, Grant Cardone. Like if you're focused more on the sales and business side of things, like he's developed a pretty strong brand for himself. And so if you're looking for more sales type of advice, Grant Cardone is great for that. Who else is really good? Yeah, there's a lot. Gary Vee is always solid, and then guys like Lewis Howes also has another great podcast, and he's interviewed some amazing people, and I think a lot of those people that he's brought on the show over the years, like you had Kobe Bryant on there a while ago, and so he's brought on some of the world class leaders. Robin Sharma too, one of my favorite authors, fellow Canadian. He's been incredible, like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, The Saint That Served the CEO, or two of his greatest books. He's got so many you can choose from. He'd be one of my top people for sure, and more so on the personal development side of things. You have a mindfulness practice, you have a meditation practice that you talked about. How important has that been for you? It's been, oh my God, it's a game changer. Like, I notice a huge difference. I'd say it's as important as just staying active and eating healthy. Like, I notice for sure a notable difference on days when I'm not, or when I'm consistently not, exercising my mindfulness practice. And it's been a while since I've gone a few consistent days without it. It's usually 1 or 2 days where I don't, but it does make it just keeping a sense of center and maintaining sort of like a mental balance that no matter what happens throughout the day, you can weather the storm, especially right now with just so much going on in the news and so many different, crises and all that type of thing, economically and health-wise and all that type of stuff that's so in everyone's face 24/7, it's really easy to get consumed by all of that. And let that just sort of alter your state. But I think with a consistent mindfulness practice, you can still consume some of that information and be able to manage and not, fall into an anxiety or some sort of panic attack. And so I think it's extremely important, and I highly recommend people pursue something that helps their mindfulness and look at these apps like you mentioned, or some sort of teaching that resonates with you, because it will make a big difference. Feel for those people who already had anxiety issues and all sorts of things, and it feels like it's compounded. You can go into this or not. Feel free not to go into this, but I know you've had a lot of personal grief recently, and it can feel like things are compounding, when things hit. So how have you thought about or approached crises in life? Because I know you've had that recently, and now coronavirus has struck and people are facing all sorts of things, especially when it's unexpected. Is there anything that you've found out how you've related to yourself in these situations? Oh my God. Oh, so much. So it's definitely the biggest blow I've ever taken in my life. And it's gonna knock you in your ass. You gotta expect that. Like, that's gonna happen, and it's gonna hurt a lot. It's extremely challenging, and it could last a while, a long time. And I think the biggest piece of advice I can offer to people, anyone who may be experiencing that or has that on their mind, is you really got to sit with those feelings. You got to embrace those feelings as opposed to bottling it up and trying to run away and hoping it'll go away one day. It's really, the healing really happens when you fully embrace it, and you gotta understand it'll be messy as well, and extremely painful and challenging. But that's the only way through it is really just to stay open to it. Allow it to pass through you, and lean on the other people in your life too. If you're lucky enough to have friends and family close by, or even if they're not physically close by, like, if you have the ability to call them or to set up a call like this on the video and connect with them for a while, like that helps a lot. Just being able to open up and talk and just and then pursue therapy too. That's a big one as well. Like if that's feasible for you, I highly recommend that too, is to go down that road and seek professional advice, because there's no shame in it. A lot of people do it. It's so much more widely accepted, and they've evolved so much over the years to accommodate specific situations, and the science and the research that backs it all up is very compelling. So there's definitely no shame in getting some help from all different sources. So coming back to the whole Fijian community, I think that's something they don't really talk about, is they don't really get that much into their emotional side of things, and that's troublesome, because it's just very hush. And I think from if you go back to like our grandparents' generation, they didn't really dive into it, right? They just kind of bottled it up, sucked it up, and made the best of the situation, even though there was still a lot of lingering pain.
Yeah, wow. That's, I really appreciate you opening up about that. And I think it's a real testament to the work you've done to be able to clearly express that. And, for the listeners out there, if it's okay to tell them what the event was that happened recently in your life. It was the passing away of your dad, and very recent, and for you to be able to articulate it and be vulnerable and be able to connect that to so many positive things of how to move forward from that's really huge of you. It's a real testament to the work you've done. And I appreciate you opening up about that Fijian mentality can be, let's not talk about the uncomfortable things. And around the world, I think men's health, taboo to be weak or vulnerable, or to communicate and think about those things or talk about those things. What kind of steps can you take to put that into practice?
I think it actually takes more strength to communicate. That takes a lot more. You got to be more of a stronger person to really open up and be vulnerable like that. In terms of steps, I would say, definitely open up to the close people in your life, family and friends, and let them know you're struggling and in this difficult time for you, in whatever regard that might be, and then understand too that they may not have the capacity to fully offer a solution, but just being able to open up and have that conversation. And some people may not be open and receptive to listening either, which is fine, right? That's everyone has their own journey, but I think finding people that you can open up to, whether it be some sort of support group or therapists, family, friends, all sorts of different people, right? Just start small and just let them know you're having a challenging time, and let the conversation evolve from there.
Yeah, I think because if you don't communicate, you close off the door, and sometimes you'll be surprised by what kind of opportunities open up. Talking about suicide, for example, once you communicate that with someone that you've had this experience in your family, you find that other people have gone through it. It creates that space for others to share as well. And I found that when I've communicated things that are difficult, usually other people have gone through similar things. Yeah, have you found that to be your experience, and have you found it to be beneficial for your work?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I've noticed that, and I've had several conversations with other people that have been through very similar experience and were caught off guard and how they dealt with it. And those are probably some of the most deep and meaningful conversations I had with people, because they've been in your shoes and feel that same pain and know what it's been, what it's like going through all that. So it was really eye-opening too, finding out about those experiences, right, and hearing these things. And you just don't know, because people don't talk about death in general, right? Very, very often. It's such a morbid thing, but what happens every single day, right? It's inevitable. It's one of the sad realities of life.
No one gets out alive.
But yeah, no, life is undefeated. But yeah, it's been interesting. I think those were probably the most interesting and eye-opening conversations. Was hearing other people who've been in the same situation and how they handled it and how they came out on the other side, and then that gave me some hope as well too, knowing that they eventually found some peace.
Yeah, that's awesome, and thank you so much for opening up about that. In terms of how it's affected your work, and have you and whether you've found yourself relating to your clients differently, have you seen that happen?
Well, definitely. I've always had this, but but an even deeper sense of compassion, and then just being more understanding of other people and their situations and their backgrounds and upbringings. I think that's probably been the number one takeaway, just being more compassionate and understanding. Then also, you have to say what you have to say, right? Because you never know when you get another moment to say it. So you have to let it all on the table and put it all out there and not really hold back is probably one of the biggest lessons. It's just, if you have something to say, to speak the truth, is let it out there and obviously with good intentions, and if it's meant to help other people, and even if it's not, if it's, well, I guess it really depends how people receive the truth, right? Because some people may not be open and like to hear it, but if it's meant to help them grow, then you have to share that and just leave it, like I said, on the table and just put it all out there, because you just never know when you'll get another chance. Just
looking ahead a little bit, once everyone is out of their houses, back on the streets, everyone will want to make a good impression. Everyone will be so excited. Where do you see your company going? In the next 6 months, once quarantine's lifted, maybe in the even 6 months, next 2 years. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, like the direction and what it'd be looking like? Mm-hmm. Oh man, that's actually what I've been sitting with ever since all this really happened. Is just really trying to get my head wrapped around all of that. So to be honest, I'm not entirely clear yet. Ideally, like I was still heading in a similar trajectory as I was before all this, but that was the idea, and to just keep moving forward with the way it was before. I'm not really sure if that's what it's going to look like afterwards. Once things get back to I guess normal, but honestly, not entirely sure yet. And so I'm still just getting my head wrapped around that whole concept.
It's interesting because I guess on one side is the economics, so people might have less disposable income to level up on their style, but at the same time people will be super excited to connect, to put themselves out there. So I think those could be like two competing forces. And like you said, like what your services are, it's not necessarily all about just changing your outfit. It's a little bit more than that.
Much deeper, and I think that's what people are really. Like you said, I think it's gonna be it's much deeper, and I think people are gonna be craving a lot of that. Mental stability and just getting a sense of clarity back after the dust settles.
Yeah, 100%. I've got this question that I want to ask all my guests because it's on theme. It's going back to Fiji. What's your favorite food from Fiji?
Oh man, well, the mangoes. I think they have the best mangoes in the world. That's a good question. I feel like the Indian food from Fiji is a little bit different than what you get, and every region in India is has their own flavor. But I think the Indian food out of Fiji, and obviously the seafood as well, are probably the best things you can get over there. So definitely the Indian food is just, it's like, it just brings back a lot of good memories.
Awesome. Yeah, that those tropical flavors and seafood also seems to be a theme with everyone that I've been asking. Well, Sunjeev, the street gentleman himself, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to me and for opening up, and a lot of wonderful tips in there.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
I always love connecting with you. It's nice to see your face and hear your voice, and it's been a pleasure, and I'd love to do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Well, you take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.
If you enjoyed that episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you want to reach out to the guest, please email me podblessfiji@gmail.com and we'll get your questions answered. Take care and Nisa Mote.